Look at Epcot. It's a cold, rainy day out there. Ponchos everywhere. Today is our tour day. We called up to make sure they wouldn't cancel it because the rain earlier on was heavier than what it is now, like a lot heavier.
It's just a heavy mist now more than anything.
So here we are. We're not really dressed for the occasion.
It's not a continuity error. I am wearing the same outfit as yesterday, but that's for practicality purposes because you know I'm wearing shorts in the rain.
Yeah, we didn't pack them. I'm wearing different colour shorts than I was wearing yesterday and a different shirt. I'm wearing BB-8. But yeah, I didn't really pack anything. Long-legged or long-armed. I got jeans, but I didn't really want to wear jeans.
If they get wet, you're going to be like waterlogged.
Yeah, and it's apparently going to get a little bit hotter today, so that'd be a pain walking around in that.
Hope for the best.
So we're doing the Behind the Magic tour, which involves loads of things. Look, we go to the Magic Kingdom again under the Utilidor.
4 parks.
We go to the Animal Kingdom to have a chat with a guide. We go to one of the hotels, I think. Not sure which one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we go here to look at the USA Pavilion, which I prefer if they went to the Japanese or Mexican one, but whatever. Yeah, I can't remember what else. We get something special at the end. We assume it's to be a pin. We always seem to get a pin at the end of tours, so... How many tours have we done now? This will be our 4th, right?
Cultivating the Magic.
Yeah.
Walk in Walt's footsteps.
Keys to the Kingdom. And this one, yeah. Alright, so we got to go over there, I think, to guest relations. So we're going to go over there and book in. We've got to do it by 8:45. It's about 8:30 now, I guess.
Ish.
So,
watch.
Let's head on over. You ready? Oh, watch out for a little one. Like our tour guide? Yeah.
Okay, so can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful, perfect. All right, so as I said, my name is Gerald. I have been with the Walt Disney Company and Walt Disney World for just short of 3 years now. I started as a member of the college program. Is everybody familiar with the Disney College program? Do we have any people that have done the Disney College program before? No? I know, I'm polling a group of 11 people, so... and after that, I started off in PhotoPass and then went part-time and then full-time in PhotoPass. And right now I am an imaging operations coordinator, which is fancy Disney terms for I help to run PhotoPass in Magic Kingdom. So I'm responsible for the maintainment of the 160 plus camera rigs that we have available to our cast every day. Essentially, I service those cast members that work in PhotoPass. So when I'm not doing this with you lovely folks, I'll be over at Magic Kingdom, either in the secret bowels of the kingdom or up on stage with you folks, which is my favorite place to be. So we're going to be going to a lot of different places today. Some you may already know where we're going. Others, not so much. Will be a little bit of a surprise. So I'll leave that to your imagination until we get there. Before we continue any further, there are going to be 3 types of questions today. So there are going to be good questions, which means I can answer them right on the spot for you. I can answer it right then and there for everybody to hear. Great questions, which means I can answer it, but it'll probably get answered later on in the tour, or you'll see it and then I'll answer it for you. And then there are those elusive excellent questions. The excellent questions will usually be followed by a smile and a Disney thumbs up. That means that it is either proprietary information or information that I either, one, can't necessarily tell you, or I don't know, because there are certain things I don't know. The funny thing that we like to joke about is as soon as you put this name tag on, have any of you ever seen cast members that have the red tag earning their ears? Okay, so that means that they're in training, currently learning how to be a cast member, what it means to work for the Walt Disney World Resort. As soon as you take that off, you suddenly know everything about everything all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that's kind of a joke that we have, that you can answer any question no matter where you are in the resort. So we like to hold on to those red name tags as long as we can. It's a lot of responsibility. So we are going to be going backstage. This is a backstage magic tour, so we're going to see the inner workings backstage at Walt Disney World that guests never get to see, and in some cases, some cast members never get to see either. And what makes this magical place be so magical. I will ask that when we go through the backstage areas, and I will remind you that there will be no photography or video recording of any kind. So I'll let you know when we get there. As we turn this corner, we are going to be going backstage at Epcot, so I'd ask no video recording or camera beyond this point. None of you have ever been there before. It is a place that not even cast members get to see because there's no reason for them to be there, right? So Central Florida had plenty of available land back in the late 60s. And the weather here allowed for a year-long operation in Central Florida, so we didn't need to really worry about a lot when it came to intense weather, meaning it was too cold or we had to close down the park. Now, if we could close down the park for it being too hot, that's a different story, right? Because when you're down here in August and it's 107 degrees and it's 100% humidity, if it was possible to get more than 100% humidity. So Walt acquired about 27,400 acres of land, which evens out to about 44 square miles, which is twice the size of the island of Manhattan. So have any of you ever been to New York City before? Okay, for those of you who haven't, it's pretty big. It's got over 100 street blocks, and the land we have here, when put together, is if you put the island of Manhattan twice, doubled it together. That's how much land we have here. And the Walt Disney World Resort is only 40% developed. Imagine the 4 theme parks, the 2 full golf courses, the 2 water parks, Disney Springs, formerly known as Downtown Disney, the 2 mini golf courses, the 22 plus resorts that we have, and we are only 40% developed. Now, some of that land, per order of Walt himself, was reserved for horticulture, was reserved for conservation. Walt was huge in preserving the environment that we live in. He was a conservationist for all intents and purposes. Now, as we make our way back here, we're going to talk about something called the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Does anybody know what the Reedy Creek Improvement District is?
Manage your own government.
Right, so that is our government that we have here at Walt Disney World. Now, the Reedy Creek Improvement District does not only cater to the needs of the Walt Disney World Resort, but to put it in perspective for you, the highest taxpayer is Walt Disney World. So Walt Disney World essentially funds the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Now, Walt wanted, and obviously it was a necessary reality, for there to be law enforcement here, because obviously in the most magical place on earth, not everything always is perfect, not everything always is what it should be, right? But from the direct words of Walt himself, he did not want anyone to have to carry a firearm on his property. No cast member should have to carry a firearm. So including our security hosts and hostesses, they don't carry any firearms, any weapons of any kind, which is why we invite Osceola and Orange County to come in and take care of that for us. So you'll never see a security cast member, or any cast member for that sort, with a gun or anything like that. Walt himself said, I don't want any cast member to ever have to worry about carrying a gun. Now, in the 1964 World's Fair, which is where we find a lot of our, the birth of a lot of our favorite attractions, It's a Small World, Carousel of Progress, even in some way Pirates of the Caribbean, Walt found a lot of different people to help him fund and also cultivate the land to prepare for the Florida project, that elusive Project X. General Joe Potter, appropriately named Potter, he helped Walt to cultivate the land not only for Disneyland, but also for here at the Walt Disney World Resort. He found him at the 1964 World's Fair, and he would later go and help us for the first 2 years of our growth here. No vertical structure was put up, and Roy, when visiting the property one day, said, "Why is there no? I don't see any progress. What's going on here?" And Potter had replied to Roy and said, "Well, we need that much time to get the land ready to be cultivated and to be built upon. That's how much time they needed." Now you go back here and you see that there's no Disney signage, right? There's nothing going this way that indicates that we are at the Walt Disney World Resort. It's kind of odd, isn't it? There's no sign that says the Contemporary Resort this way, Magic Kingdom this way, Animal Kingdom this way. This is what we call an infinity road. Anybody familiar with what an infinity road is? No? So an infinity road is designed specifically to make it look like you are driving on it to infinity and beyond. You're going on and on and on and on, and you never stop. Doesn't give guests any indication that they are traveling towards something that they want to go to. So we did that on purpose. We don't want gates that say keep out, no entry. That's not really within the Disney show, right? We want to be welcoming. So we just put nothing so that it makes you look like you're literally going nowhere. All right, so we are now going backstage. So I would ask that there is no photography or recording beyond this.
Good morning.
Look,
Good
it's a
morning.
spot where you can take pictures.
Hooray! Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
I like your bucket up right now. Thank you.
So just be wary about that, but we can make a semicircle around here if you'd like.
If y'all want to use any
Hello, Hillary.
Hello, Hillary.
All right, so she's going to talk to us a little bit about herself and what Disney's doing right now in the world, and as well as our resort to further conservation efforts, not only here in the United States, but across the world. All right?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Cool, and if y'all have any questions for me, please let me know. I'm pretty laid back. But my name's Hillary. I work at the Wild Africa Trek. You're kind of standing in our Outfitters post right now. It's a 3-hour tour here on Disney property that takes you kind of into more in depth about the Africa section of our park here at Animal Kingdom. So anything you want to know about animals or how we take care of our animals, what we do, you can let me know. But we do, like you were saying, take a lot of initiatives in the conservation world. It sounds like a storyline that Disney made up because, we're full of, that really rich storytelling here in our parks. But at Animal Kingdom, we actually are a researching facility. So we do a lot of research here with our animals that have actually gone on to help out some animals in the wild. One of the projects that I really like talking about involves our elephants. Has anybody been on the Kilimanjaro safaris recently? Yeah, do you guys remember your driver might have said something about something that elephants are afraid of? Yeah, bees. And it sounds like a great story. Elephants are afraid of bees. We've done some research here at Disney. Sometimes you can see our elephants wearing big collars. They're made out of recycled fire hose. But what those collars do, they can record movements. They can also record the sounds that the elephants are making to one another. So we did a study where we played beehive sounds because we had heard that elephants were afraid of bees. And what we observed were elephants running away from the sound, shaking their head to make sure no bees were on them. And then they produced like a low rumble. This rumble you can't hear with your human ears. It's too low of a level for us to pick up. But these voice recorders on their collars picked it up. So we did the same thing in Kenya. Same thing happened with those elephants over there. So we use this information to our advantage because the Save the Elephants organization in Kenya, which partners with Disney, has started making these beehive boxes, and they have put them on the outsides of farms to protect people's land. Because if you can imagine a huge herd of elephants, these elephants are like 7,000, 9,000 pounds each, coming in towards your farm. Farmers aren't too happy about that usually, so what they were doing was killing elephants because of it. You can't really blame the farmer at that point. That's how they make their money, that's how they feed their family. So what this beehive fence does is it's a natural way for them to feel just safer in their own areas. So it keeps the elephants away. It's been really effective, I believe like 80% effective in the areas they've been testing it. Plus, what do bees make?
Honey.
Yeah, so they're teaching these farmers how to be beekeepers, harvest the honey, sell it, and make even more money. So the last report that I read from one farmer said he harvested one batch of honey and made about 3 months of what he would make farming. So yeah, it's a huge incentive for them to be involved with this project. Starting to spread. That's one of the projects that we fund with our conservation fund. We also, for that one, send researchers from Disney over to Kenya a couple times a year. So starting to spread, starting to grow, and if you've ever donated to Disney's conservation fund, you can know that money is going to projects like that one. We've been involved with that project since 2007, so it's been a really long, ongoing project there. But yeah.
Wonderful. If you want to talk a little bit about your experience
Sure.
and what you've done and how you've gotten here.
Sure, yeah. I graduated from Mississippi State in 2012, the December kind of semester of that one. And then I didn't have a job, but my mom was like researching different careers and sent me a link really helpfully to me, which was about internships with the Disney company. So they have like the college program you might have heard of where you kind of get put wherever, and that's great. I have a lot of friends who have done that one. And then they also have a professional internship program, which is what I applied for. So my first job, luckily I got it. I was one of the interns selected to work at the Seas at Epcot. Has anybody been to that aquarium? Yeah, most people are like, oh, it's a Nemo ride, but upstairs is a whole aquarium, yeah. So I worked there, I did conservation education there, and then I got a second internship here with the company at Animal Kingdom, doing community education. So we would do like hospital programs, local children's hospitals, and summer camps. And then luckily I got my full-time job here at Wild Africa Trip. So I've been at this position for about 2 years now. So yeah.
Wonderful. And if you want, I know we've talked a little bit about the Walt Disney Conservation Fund,
Yeah.
but maybe a little bit more about the Conservation Fund itself.
Yeah, it was started in 1995, so the year that we broke ground on Disney's Animal Kingdom, they wanted to start this conservation fund. And in 1995, they started asking guests, people who came to Disney World, people at your resorts, you might hear people ask this too, if you want to donate to the conservation fund. And the cool thing about that, since we're part of such a big company, I don't know, you might have heard about Walt Disney and all of its affiliates, it's kind of a big one. But we are able to pay the people who work for the fund and not have the donations go to that kind of thing. So all of the overhead costs are covered by Disney, which is cool. So when you donate $1, Disney matches it, which is awesome. And then you know that it's going straight to wildlife. So we've raised over $30 million within that 20 years. So it's been around, last year was our 20th anniversary. So all that work, 119 countries, something like that. Different grants are written and given to the Conservation Fund, and then a team of experts kind of reviews the grant proposals and decide who to fund. Sometimes we do work with them and do research like the bees, and sometimes it's just funding a grant and a project that's already going on. But our biggest issue that we look for, it has to be helping the animals, obviously, but it also has to be helping out the local people in those areas too. Because a lot of times in different areas of the world, if people are struggling, they're not going to really care about helping animals. So a lot of it is finding a solution for both, like the elephants and bees. That's a really good example, like making more money, but also protecting elephants at the same time.
Wonderful. Does anybody have any questions for Hillary or anything along that sort? Anything about the Conservation Fund, about some of the stories we talked about, anything at all about that?
Does Disney work with other nonprofits for conservation, like the World Wildlife Federation or
We
anything?
do work with some. So the International Rhino Foundation is one organization that we help fund their projects that go on through them. So yeah, it just depends. There's actually a really great website if you want to go and check it out, disney.com/conservation. You can search it. There's actually an interactive map. You can say, I want to know in 2015 what was funded. And it'll have it country by country, little logos. You can see what kind of animals they were helping out and what the project will work. But you can go to those specific projects' website too.
Wonderful. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
We were on the safari the other day, the black rhino.
Yeah.
There was no retaining wall, nothing to keep the rhino from coming all the way up to the
Are you
vehicle.
sure it was the black rhino or the white
That was
rhino?
the white rhino.
The white rhino.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So white rhinos, that's a really good difference between black rhinos and white rhinos. Black rhinos are a little bit more skittish. They live in like dense jungle, so they do have kind of a separation. It doesn't look like it, but there's water, and then inside of that water there's a big wall. The white rhinos, however, are much more social. They look big and bad. They have a really terrible reputation, but in general, they're pretty much big teddy bears. So they can come right up to the trucks. They're used to the trucks, so they don't charge them or anything like that. The most I've seen, our trucks stop out on the reserve and park. We've had a rhino come and sharpen her horn on the wheel well of the truck before, so that was pretty killer. That was really neat. But yeah, they can come right up to the trucks. Whereas like our lions, are separated for obvious reasons, mostly probably to protect them and the other animals as well. But yeah, all of the animals are on the Disney dining plans. They're pretty well fed, but you never know, so they need to take extra precautions with our predators.
Wonderful. All right, well, let's give Hillary a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing.
No worries.
All right, wonderful. So now we're going to go over to the next best stop of the day, which is the restroom break. All right? Thank you so much,
guys.
Hillary.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bathrooms. Zero. There are 0 bathrooms in Liberty Square. Why is that?
Because in that time frame there wasn't.
Right, that's right. So in that time frame, there were no public restrooms. So to keep it in that time, there are ones that are nearby. They're hidden, but they're not in actual Liberty Square. There is a path that is different in color. It's like a winding path that's different in color that is runs through Liberty Square and kind of stops in Frontierland. Anybody know what that might be? So back in those times, they didn't have sewage systems. They didn't have wastewater plants. So people would just dump it out of the window. So that is quite literally the mess, if you will, that would be in the streets in the colonial times. To remind you how sanitary we were back then. All right, so we are continuing on this Infinity Road towards our next stop. Anybody want to take a guess as to where we're going? What's another park we haven't been to yet? Hollywood Studios. Yes, that's right. So we're coming back on this Infinity Road, and again, it doesn't look like we're in any sort of Disney-esque location. As we make our way back, you're going to start noticing that those famous purple signs are going to start popping up again, letting us know that we're back towards civilization. We're back towards where Disney wants us to be. And again, as we talked about the Reedy Creek Improvement District, it was created by the Florida State Legislature in 1967, shortly before the 1971 opening of the Walt Disney World Resort, which at that time was only the Magic Kingdom. So some of the responsibilities that the Reedy Creek Improvement District is responsible for are utilities, roads, bridges, the upkeep of those, fire protection, surface water treatment, mosquito protection. That is something that we really have an issue with here in Florida. But you'll notice that when you're in a Disney theme park, it's not really much of a problem. Especially in the Magic Kingdom, because we have our teams that come and spray every single night. They're also responsible for data collection in terms of how many guests visit the park, how many we can expect for next year, environmental services, any sort of emergency services. So if anything happens in one of our parks or on the property, Reedy Creek is the one that will respond, not Orange County or Osceola County. We call them and then they connect us to Reedy Creek services. So the waste and water, we obviously have a lot of waste and water, so much that we have 25 MGD. Does anybody know what MGD stands for? Million gallons daily. We have 25 million gallons daily of waste and solid management. So we process about 18 of those million gallons daily every day, and that number gets larger every single year. Obviously, with the number of people that are coming here, with our expansion of our parks and also our resorts. So the solid waste is kind of brought down and kind of watered down to this sludge of sorts. And the water is taken out through like a filter process. And the liquids are squeezed from these solids, and that's what we can reuse that. We don't like to throw anything away, so we can reuse that solid waste. The result of that is it's a very nutrient-dense soil, and it's kind of what we would use as like compost. Anybody ever use compost before in their gardens or anything like that? Yeah, so that's what that kind of stuff, if you will, is. Several years ago, we had a Name That Stuff contest for that nutrient-rich soil byproduct. And us being cast members, we definitely are imaginative. And the winning name for this quote-unquote product was Vista Green. Because we are in Lake Buena Vista. Non-winning names, which I kind of like a little bit more, were Mickey's Muck, Winnie's Pooh, Mary Poopins, and of course, my absolute favorite, Zippity Doo Doo. Of course, those did not win. Vista Green was definitely the one that we now refer to it as today. I kind of like Mary Poopins, though. So we're coming up on our next bag check, so make sure you have all your things ready to be inspected. But let's talk just briefly about Hollywood Studios. We are now going backstage, just Epcot. Disney's Hollywood Studios, because it's more contemporary, they focused a lot more on the branding aspect of it. So Disney's Hollywood Studios, Disney's Animal Kingdom. Epcot, we have a trademark on the name, so we don't need to put Disney's. And the Magic Kingdom, ironically, is what Walt referred to Disneyland as. Disneyland was referred to by Walt as the Magic Kingdom. And that's kind of where the idea for the Magic Kingdom came from. So, I thought I was going to tell you a story, right? Yes, the Otis Elevator Company. So the Otis Elevator Company is one of the oldest standing companies for elevators in the world. In making this attraction, Walt Disney Imagineers came to the Otis Elevator Company and said, we want to make an attraction that has an elevator, but we want to make it not only go up and down, we want to make it drop. Like, we want to make it plummet down. So long story short, they're in with the Otis Elevator executives, and once they tell him this, the CEO of Otis Elevator at the time went white in the face, and he said, can you give us a second? He escorted all the Disney people out of the room, and he was in there with just his executives, the Otis Elevator executives. About 40 minutes go by, he comes back in, and he says, okay, Disney people, we will help you, and we will make what you need to make it plummet, but you need to realize, one, that you are trying to do the opposite of what we have been trying not to happen for over 100 years. I'm going to point very quickly to the sun panels over there, just on the side. And over on your right-hand side, before we finish the story, there are some more solar panels that we're working on right now. Okay. So he said, one, you're trying to make us do something that we've been trying to prevent for over 100 years. Two, I don't want Otis Elevator on anywhere found on this ride. So that's why when you go into the Tower of Terror, there is no recollection, no branding of any sort that says Otis Elevator Company at all. So we're making our way to lunch. Yay! Who's excited for lunchtime? Yeah, all right. So I don't really have to tell you guys this because you're a very small group, but let the largest group sit together so that everybody can sit together. I'm pretty sure we're going to be at one big table because we're a small group. I do ask before you use the restroom if you need to. We sit down first, order our drinks, and then you can go to the restroom. It just will help the folks at Whispering Canyon to kind of serve us a little bit more efficiently. Has anybody ever been to Whispering Canyon before? Yes? Who has not? All right, so it is a highly themed experience, and by that I mean play along. It is a American barbecue style, as we talked about earlier today. It's going to be sausage, mashed potatoes, beans, all of that sort of thing. We have fountain drinks that are available, including raspberry iced tea, which is really delicious. So I would ask that when we go in, we're going to sit down, order our drinks, and then you can get up and do whatever you need to do. We're going to have just about 55 minutes to an hour for lunch, so sit down, enjoy. Definitely take the time you need. Definitely you can take pictures. So you can take pictures as much as you need. We will be on stage at the resort. We're going to Disney's Wilderness Lodge. On the right-hand side, you're going to take a look at our highway in the sky, which is what? Monorail. Yes, that's right. So it costs from one pillar to the next about $2,000 to maintain each section, in which we decided we're never making a monorail again. Now, if you look over to your left-hand side, you'll see the Transportation and Ticket Center. It's obviously not too busy of a day here at the Magic Kingdom, but in the Transportation and Ticket Center alone, you can fit Disneyland in California, California Adventure, the Downtown Disney District, and all of the parking, all there in Anaheim, California, in the Transportation and Ticket Center for the Magic Kingdom. This is just the parking for the Magic Kingdom. So we're turning into Disney's Wilderness Lodge, and you're going to see some examples of what we talked about at the Walt Disney World Nursery. On your right-hand side as we come up, you're going to see some sort of topiaries, and I want you guys to tell me which type of topiary it is. Right over here on the right. All right, so what kind of topiary was that? Yes, that was a stuffed topiary. You can actually see part of the framework that was there. But we are now in the Pacific Northwest. Welcome.
Well, it rains a lot there.
Yeah, it rains a lot, yeah. I think the folks from London brought that with them. No? You didn't bring it?
No.
Sorry, I had to. So we are in the Pacific Northwest. I want you to take note of how the trees changed. Look at ahead of us and on the right-hand side. Look at these pines. Some of these are lodgepole pines. Look at how much the scenery has changed from where we were in sunny Central Florida. It literally looks like we are in the Pacific Northwest. Now, as we come up to Disney's Wilderness Lodge, you're going to see how it's kind of hidden. The resort is hidden in the shrubbery, in the wilderness. And that is done on purpose. It is modeled after the Yellowstone National Park Hotel and Lodge. And it takes accents from how those buildings were crafted and how they were kind of hidden in the wilderness. Now, when you go inside, it's important to note the lobby. The lobby actually uses forced compression. So we talked about forced perspective before. This is now forced compression. The forced compression, when you enter in the porte-cochere, this is the first thing you're going to go into. notice how low the ceiling is. It gives you the idea that it is a small, cozy cabin in the Pacific Northwest. Then when you enter into the actual lobby, after the porte-cochere, see how large everything is, and it just kind of opens up into this grand hotel. One, that tricks your mind into thinking that this is a homely, sort of a small, intimate, homely cottage in the Pacific Northwest when you come up to it. But then when you go in, the lodgepole pines that go all the way up to the top of the ceiling, that, through forced perspective, makes you think that it's even taller than it actually is. And all of the infrastructure is used with lodgepole pines or pine trees that were taken from the Pacific Northwest. Now, a lot would say, now, did you just kill a bunch of trees and bring them over here? No, that's not very Disney, right? Walt was a firm believer in conservation. This was actually taken from a forest that had already been condemned as dying. So Disney said, we'll take it from you, we'll reuse them, right? And make them into the Wilderness Lodge. So we're just waiting for a couple of valet cars to move ahead, and then we'll be on our way. You do not need your whisper units, so if you want to leave them on the coach, you can. If not, just leave them on your hip, that's fine. You may want to bring your safety glasses if you sit next to someone that eats pretty messily. Other than that, you can leave those on the coach as well. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to keep asking you if you have any questions about anything.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, you said these are all made of wood, right?
Correct.
Everything's made of wood again.
Correct.
How do you keep the maintenance? Not many years.
Yes, so the question was, how do you keep all of these pines and all of the tree parts that we use maintenance? They put a pretty severe lacquer on them that will protect them. We also have a team that comes in and inspects it regularly, and when they are deteriorating or when they even show that they're deteriorating, we have a team that comes in and replaces them.
Okay, where do you get the replacement?
From forests that have already been condemned.
Already condemned?
Yes. So, yes. So we will find forests that, not necessarily from the same location, but we will reach out to our partners in those areas and see where can we get this source of lodgepole pine, where can we get these sources, but it's never taken just randomly out of the wilderness. And I can talk more about that once we get in the lobby, because I can actually show you. The four pillars that are actually in there, that are like basically the infrastructure of the whole building, those are the originals because they have steel wrapped around them to keep their integrity. All right, ready to go? All right, let's go to lunch. All right.
Oh.
And you know what the offering? If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, the offering. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy lunch.
You're so welcome. Alright, guys. So, any questions about anything so far? Nothing at all? No? Alright. We talked a little bit about the inside of the resort itself, but as we noticed the lighting fixtures. So what did we notice about the lighting fixtures? It's not really, a lighting fixture that you would find in Pier 1 or a Walmart or a Target or anything like that, right?
No.
So we obviously do not have a giant teepee lamp store here at Disney. So we have to make things, right? And a lot of our things that we make here at the resort, we make in-house. Meaning we get the materials and we make it and custom make everything to fit what we need. And that brings us to our next stop. Drum roll, please. That was a terrible drum roll. We are going to Central Shops. So who knows what that is? The blank stares tell me no one knows.
Where they make stuff.
Yeah, so that's where they make stuff. The home of the can-do people.
Oh.
The home of excellence. So we will talk a little bit more about that once we get there. But we are going into a Backstage location. I'll tell you when we'll be going Backstage. But we're going to Central Shops. And Central Shops is a very special place. It is the size of 3 football fields put together. Yes, it's that big. And it's basically a giant maintenance bay where all of our ride vehicles, our TP lamps that you saw in there, everything is made, right down to our name tags. Everything is made in this location. It is in our North Services area. I'm going to point out a couple of other buildings to you as well. The North Services area is home to not only where cast members park that work at Magic Kingdom, so where I go every day, also our textile services, where we prepare our cast member costumes, towels, everything like that, sheets. Also our Central Shops, power plant, as well as holiday services. So if you happen to be here around the holidays, that's where all of our Christmas trees, Christmas decorations come from, all things like that. And I can point that out to you. But Central Shops is our destination. I like this point right here as we go into this tunnel. This is the crossroad of all 3 modes of Disney transportation. The monorail on the right-hand side, we just passed under a waterway where a boat was passing under, and we have a bus. And if you look on your left-hand side, you're going to see us coming up on the bus plaza where Cinderella Castle is. And on the right, you're going to see, we talked about this a little bit earlier, is Disney's Contemporary Resort, and tucked nicely behind that is Disney's Bay Lake Tower at Disney's Contemporary Resort.
What does it take to get to the bar at the top?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What does it take to get to the bar at the top? I heard if you just punch in at the...
So that's the California Grill.
Okay.
Oh, are you talking about at Bay Lake Tower?
Yeah.
Oh, at Bay Lake Tower, you have to be a Disney Vacation Club member who is currently staying on property.
Okay.
Or be friends with somebody that is like that.
I heard some guests were staying there at Bay Lakes, but they're not vacation members.
Right. So that is a Disney Vacation Club resort, but if there is availability, it is open to regular guests.
He said he ran his bracelet through and it dropped him right down to the first floor again.
Yep. So yeah, it's similar to the Otis Elevator Company, right? Yeah, just. Okay, so because much of Central Florida was underdeveloped and it didn't really have an infrastructure to support the needs of what we needed here to build the resort, the North Services area was built to provide not only the Walt Disney Studios over at Burbank with what we needed here to create the Florida project, but also the infrastructure of the county around it. Before we go any further, I'm going to point over on our right-hand side. It's coming up in a little cage. There are some barricades around it. It's a little tall cage right here in black canisters. That is where we shoot off our fireworks. Our perimeter fireworks for the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. The main maintenance bay, where that happens, is actually going to be up this way to the left-hand side. There's a big fence around it. That's where all of the Wishes fireworks go off, right over there. As we're crossing over the train tracks, they lead into a certain building, and that is our roundhouse. Now, everybody knows what a traditional roundhouse was, right? It's usually included a turntable where trains would come in to a certain turntable and then turn around and then be going the opposite direction. So we kept the name, we just made it a little more technologically advanced. That is where our trains are kept and also our monorails. All with the exception of one monorail lives here. Monorail Teal, it lives at the Transportation and Ticket Center, which is where Magic Kingdom guest parking is. Straight ahead, you're going to see a place called West Clock. West Clock is where our cast members go to park for Magic Kingdom. And this is our North Services area, so I would ask that there is no further recording here. That's how we get to work every day. Yes?
Why is the back theme?
Say that again?
Why is the back?
Why is it
Like
still
the
like a
circus
focus?
tent, you can see their theme.
Right, so the question was, why is the back themed? Well, you just saw it, didn't you?
Okay.
So, so it's for guest view, because remember how we talked about Infinity Roads, how there is no, like, no enter. Like, there's no entry. You can just you can drive back here if you want to. You won't get very far, but you can drive back here. So it's kind of that sight line thing where we kind of know that guests are going to be able to see this at least some point. So that's a good question, though. So going back to the Walt Disney Legacy Award, it's considered the highest honor that you can receive, and you are considered when you receive this award as a personification of Walt in the parks. You are considered that Walt's legacy, right? It is considered a Lifetime Achievement Award, but it is not anything that you can achieve. We regard the Legacy Award as something that you either are or you're not. You cannot do anything to achieve the Legacy Award. You either are a Legacy recipient or you're not. I had the privilege last year to serve on both the local and the global committee that decided who the recipients were going to be. It was, yes.
Oh, how many people are in the committee?
It depends. It depends on each year. There were 10. No more. Yeah, there were 10. I was the only non-salaried cast member to be there, so I considered it a great honor for me. Specifically because my passion for Disney comes a lot from Walt the man, so it's a really interesting thing to experience. And whenever you see a cast member that has that name tag, you know, you kind of just thank them, you know? So we're coming to our Magic Kingdom security check. We have Anna. Hello. Yeah. And just so you know, we're going backstage now, so no. Since we have a little bit of time, I'm going to take you guys a little bit, like I'm going to deviate from the route a little bit because we have a little bit more time. As long as you guys are okay. You guys okay in the rain? Yes. Oh. Oh, do we have him go to the restroom? Yeah. Okay, perfect. I was going to do it on the other side, but you know what? Let's have our restroom break now. Go have your restroom break, and then we'll meet right out here in just a minute.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
You smell ice cream. During the holidays, you smell peppermint. All of these are all intentionally done to, one, further invest you in the turn of the century America that we're trying to create, but also it's wonderful product placement. Because you have to look at everything that Disney does. What we do here is from a business perspective, but also from a showmanship perspective. And both of them are equally as important. We are a business, but we are also filling in for the boss. And filling in for that boss is Walt himself. And this is what he would have wanted. All right, so we're up here at Cinderella Castle. Would anybody like a picture in front of Cinderella Castle? I'm just offering it now because we have a little bit of time. Everybody can hear me, right? Yes. like why do we think we even have Walt Disney Graduate School of Design and Master Planning? Right, so the legend has it that when Walt died, Roy wanted the last thing that he was going to see was what he never got to see finished, which was Cinderella Castle. And I'll show you the picture that we kind of based that on. But that's why that window faces out on Main Street, USA.
Okay, which building does he have actually room?
So the question was, which building does he actually have the room on? And that's actually in Disneyland.
Oh, Disney, okay.
Right, so in Disneyland, above the firehouse, that's where Walt...
Not here then?
Not here.
Okay.
The original intention was that Cinderella Castle was going to be where his apartment was.
Okay.
And the apartment is actually there. We just transformed it into the Cinderella Castle suite.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's actually a great question. All right, so we're going to head out this way. Perfect. All right, so we're going to continue down this way. I'm going to come up and talk about Main Street a little bit more as we're heading down. But now, we're going to do what everyone is really excited about. We have a lot of you hear a lot of music. Utilidor. Great job, guys. Oh, there's as we go backstage, just make sure that we're going to the backstage location. No photography or recording of any kind.
Sure.
For those of you who have Memory Maker, you can at least get the picture if you want it.
Sure.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll try to find a photographer. I'll make sure that happens before we move. So 78 scale means that the base of the building is the most accurate, so it looks exactly like it would in real life. As it gets taller, it is made smaller through forced perspective to make it look like it's a tall enough building as if it were here in real life. So it is almost to real life at the top, but it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. This is actually a great example. This middle building right here, see how small the features get as you get up? Look at how different that is.
Compared to
So it
birds.
starts at the bottom. Now there is one difference. The one difference is per order of Walt himself. The windows are really low to the ground. In normal buildings, the windows aren't that low. Now, why would windows need to be that low to the ground? Why would Walt want to do that?
For kids to look in.
Right. Kevin, you missed it. What's that? Kevin missed it.
I was opening it up. Yeah.
What's the reason? So the reason was that they wanted to make sure Walt wanted kids to be able to look into the windows, so it's accessible to not just adults, but to everybody. All right, so as we walk down Main Street, we're going to talk a little bit more about the actual physical design of Main Street and what went into the design of the park in relation to its history. Not too bad, right? Not raining too bad. All right. So we talked about Walt's window, right? Walter E. Disney. Graduate School of Design and Master Planning. That's how he was looking at his final vision for the park. Looks like we have enough time. All right, let's take a quick excursion up this way. We talked about that serving marker. spot where they believe, where one of the first survey markers was laid, that Walt was standing here in one of those iconic photos. Again, there's no way of absolutely proving it, but this is where we believe, and our storytelling has told us that this is the spot where they believe Walt Disney stood with his brother and said, with his map in hand, this is where I want the castle, this is where I want the rest of Main Street. So it's really powerful stuff for us as cast members to kind of stand here and realize, wow, the man that started this all isn't here anymore, but he stood right here, right? Pretty cool. And there's obviously the partner statue.
That statue used to be somewhere else.
The partner statue, that's always been there.
Wasn't it down the other end?
No, it's always been in the center. It's always been right there in the center. And there are two others in the United States. Does everybody know where they are? Two other partner statues.
California?
California. Both of them are in California. One of them is in Disneyland, and the other one is at the Burbank Studios. So if you've ever been in the Burbank Studios, right in front of the big Seven Dwarfs Coliseum where they're holding up the pillars of the company, which is purposefully done. Why would the Seven Dwarfs be holding up the pillars of the big executive building? Because that was the first full motion picture that started the Disney company, right? So that's where the other two are that we have in the United States. Any questions? No? All right, so let's head down Main Street. Things from Oklahoma, all different songs that are essentially American is what they're going to play. Now this is
He might as well have his drugs rolling up
See that?
Yep.
Oh.
Now, you cannot see from the is the star of the show, right? The train station is the curtain that hides the rest of the show. Now, what the Main Street really knows to do, take a look at what's on the windows. Different names, right?
Like the credits?
Yes, well done. Yes, so they are the credits to our show. They are the rolling credits at the end of a movie. One specifically that you see, Roy E. Disney, specializing in the gentlemanly sport of racing at sea. Now, Roy E. Disney was Roy O. Disney, his son. So Roy E. Disney was the one who just recently passed away. Roy O. was the brother that helped to dedicate and finish Walt Disney World. So these are all of the different things that you would really never notice, but they all contribute to a part of the rolling credits of the Magic Kingdom. People that either contributed specifically to Walt Disney World or contributed specifically to the Walt Disney Company to help make Walt's dreams possible. I'm going to point out another one. I want to point out to you something here. Just let's come a little bit closer. I'm going to point out two windows, all at the very, very top. Frank G. Wells, for those who want to do it all. The Seven Summits Expedition. Now, Frank G. Wells played an integral part with Walt Disney himself. Frank G. Wells helped to craft a lot of different nuances that we see in the Magic Kingdom and in Disneyland. The Seven Summits, this was something that specifically speaking to his personal. Frank G. Wells wanted to scale the 7 summits of the world, right? He did 6 of them before he died. The 7th one, he never got to. He was trying to scale Everest. Tried to scale Everest, never made it. So what did we do? We gave him, as a tribute to him, the tallest window on Main Street. There is no window on Main Street that is higher than Frank G. Wells' window, so that he reached the 7th summit that he never got to, which is Main Street, Disney. So no window is higher than his. Pretty cool, huh? Now again, this is something no one would ever know, but to his family, that's what it meant to him. Pretty cool. Now, starting, if we just turn right around, let's take a look at this window right over here. Magic Kingdom Casting Agency. It takes people to make the dream a reality. Everybody see that window right over there? Kind of off to the side. And that's what we like to call the cast member window. That's Walt's window. We as cast members like to visit that as a means of inspiration, a reminder of what we do, and that's why we do it. It's down underground, it's on floor level, so that us as cast members can walk up to it. It's very approachable. Casting agency, every single one of us, when we become cast members, we have to go to the casting room, right? And we have to go through all the paperwork as becoming a cast member. Now, traditions is something that all cast members have to go through. Every single cast member that works for the company, not just in Walt Disney World, but across the entire globe, has to go through some sort of traditions where it teaches about the history of the company, but more specifically Walt himself. And that is kind of the company's tribute to the people that make Walt's dream a reality. That's our window. Pretty cool. All right. Any questions so far about anything? No? Okay, so we're going to continue down Main Street a little bit. Oh, I'll let you get that. No problem. All right, do you want a picture?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You want to get a group picture of everybody in the tour? Thank you so much. All right, guys, come on up. All right, so we're going to continue down this way.
The candy smells so good. It's just like sugar.
Now that you know it comes out of food. I would like to say that Dizzy's blood is actually pixie dust. Yeah, and that and a lot of caffeine.
As long as he doesn't let that caffeine die go.
That's it. That's
Sorry.
It. And okay, Valeria sola. I'm glad we were able to work that out for you guys. Yeah, no problem. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of a detour around this way for me. Now, there was only one building in Town Square that is full scale.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, due to an unexpected delay, today's performance of the Disney Festival of Fantasy Parade will be stepping off in Frontierland at 3:45. Once again, today's performance of the Disney Festival of Fantasy Parade will be stepping off in Frontierland at 3:45. We thank you for your understanding.
Okay, so I want everybody to come over this way.
That's why I was confused. I thought that was...
We'll make a little bit of a semicircle so we can all talk about this. Now, this is...
You see? Sorry.
I can take one of the spots where we kind of pay very close attention to the people that brought Disney to reality. After Roy had passed away, Roy, his brother, was responsible for opening the park and also for dedicating it. So on October 1st, 1971, Roy said, Walt Disney World is a tribute to the philosophy and life of Walter Elias Disney and to the talents, the dedication, and the loyalty of the entire Disney organization that made Walt Disney's dreams come true. May Walt Disney World bring joy and inspiration, new knowledge to all who come to this happy place. Our Magic Kingdom is a young part of all ages to laugh, play, and learn together. So that was only a very small snippet portion of his dedication speech. He actually delivered his speech from this spot right here. And that is why this bench with Minnie exists right here. And look what is right beyond the horizon. That way is Walt and Mickey. So Walt and Mickey, Roy and Minnie. Pretty cool. Anybody want a picture with that? I'd be happy to take it. No? So that's what we're talking about. There is one building on Main Street that is full scale. Anybody know what that might be? Take a look around. Don't be fooled. Close.
Is it the theatre?
Yes, the theater.
Yeah.
Why? Why is the theater full to scale? Now again, think about what we were talking about in the Japan Pavilion earlier today.
Can't remember
about
what she said.
sightlines. What is behind that building?
The hotel?
Contemporary, yes. The Contemporary Resort is behind there. So in order to preserve the story of Main Street, they have made it full scale so that it hides what you can see of the Contemporary Resort. Very good. All right, so Main Street is designed and modeled after turn-of-the-century America, basically Walt's time of his birth, 1901-ish, around towards the 1920s, 1930s. Now, I want you to take a look at the clock tower on top of City Hall. Take a look at the clock. What's something that we notice?
It's illuminated.
Yep, it's illuminated, but what is a small detail that not many people would really notice? Kevin, you're not answering. Anybody else? Come on, bonus points. Take a look at the numbers. Roman numerals, right? You're getting closer.
The 4 is 4.
Yes, so Verna's right, yes. Was that what you were going to say? Yep. Of course. So, right after the 3, the 4 is 4 eyes. Now, in the turn-of-century America, we did not have the IV. It wasn't created yet, so in order to pay homage to that time, we had 4 eyes instead of the IV. Who is going to remember that? Who is going to look at that and care? Not many. That one guess that does is what makes it worth it, right? Now I want you to turn and look up Main Street. I want you to look at the Main Street intersection. Up to the middle of Roy O. Disney, chairman. What is his window looking over? Us. Where he dedicated the park, right? Yeah. All specifically done. Right? Any questions about anything that we've done today? Main Street, Magic Kingdom specifically? Yes.
Does do you know Tony Baxter? Does he have a window? The Imagineer?
Yes,
He has a window.
Tony Baxter does have one.
Here?
Yes, he does. Yep, they have one in Disneyland as well.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. I'm trying to think. Bob Gurr has one. Do anybody know who Bob Gurr was? He was responsible for the design of the monorail. Trains coming in. We have 4 trains here at the Magic Kingdom. They're all salvaged from a scrapyard in Mexico. 4 of them. 1, Walter E. Disney. 2, Roy O. Disney. 3, William Disney. And the 4th one is Roger Brogan. Does anyone know who Roger Brogan is? Close, the one who actually procured the scrap trains. Yep, because they were scrapped. They were locomotive scrap, and then they were refurbished and brought back here, given a second life essentially. All right, so we're gonna make our way over this way.
I'm gonna meet Mickey.
No. Nip out for a second.
What's that?
Just need to nip out for a second.
Yeah. Back in 20 minutes. Right.
star of our show. You can see the rolling credits. You can see the windows on Main Street. And I'm guessing during the daytime, it's a little bit better weather. You can see carriages meeting in the Central Plaza. You can see the guests.
Para acá entramos, ¿viste? Te dejo la puerta, ¿viste? Que toma el tema, más te dejo la puerta. Hola, hola.
People travel thousands of miles just to see this. Alright, I'm going to take you up to one of the spots because you guys are such a small group. We have a little bit of time. I'm going to take you up to the top. It's one of the best pictures you can get in the whole park. Alright? Sound good? Alright, wonderful. You want to go up the center or you want to go up the side? Center? Perfect.
Who shares that? Take pictures?
Kevin brought up a great point. In the center is our American flag, right? One of the longest traditions here at the Magic Kingdom is the flag that they have all the way to the start of the Magic Kingdom. Walt was considered the ultimate patriot and made sure that honor was given to the flag. Longest standing traditions here at the Magic.
Sorry.
I'm still seeing the ropes,
So Kevin also brought up another great point to take surprise. The flags on Main Street. How many actual flags do we have? Actual American flags do we have on Main Street? Don't count them. 13, 0. The others? No? Okay. What you have to do, you have to one at the top of Main Street, on the part of the side, and one at the bottom. And one at the bottom, which is this one that you see right here. All of the other ones, here, you're missing a star, or they're missing a string, which makes them invalid as an American flag. Why do you think that is? Think about what we talked about earlier with the weather.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, due to inclement weather and for the safety of our performance, the Disney Festival of Fantasy Parade has been delayed. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause and hope to begin the parade as soon as the weather allows. Once again, this performance of the Festival of Fantasy Parade has been delayed. Thank you.
So I will tell you actually a fun fact. So I'm going to finish about the lightning rods. So all of the flags, with the exception of two, Now, good point that you brought up about the pre-recorded voices. The recording of Ladies and Gentlemen, Boys and Girls, due to imprecision, is all done by the same person. And do you all know who that person is?
Forgot his name.
He's a Dapper Dan. Oh. He's a Dapper Dan on the East. All right, we're going to make our way back down to the bottom of Main Street, and we're going to talk a little bit more as we make our way back towards back to the coach. Any questions?
Do they ever add names to windows?
The question was, do they ever add names to windows? Yes, they do. Most recently, it was actually just about one thing. Matt Crofton, who recently retired, got one in hers, is right above the fashion overhang, the green fashion overhang, and it says Meg G. Crofton, books on leadership. So she was a very big leader. She was in leadership for most of her career, I would say.
How many years she had?
I'm sorry?
How many years?
She had 30, yeah, somewhere around 30 years. Yeah. All right.
Good?
Their role is often underappreciated. And that's exactly what Walt wanted us to realize, is that we are all working towards that same goal, to create that experience, that seamless guest experience. So next time you see a custodial cast member, make sure to thank them, because it goes a long way. Alright? If you turn around, there's a place.
So just look at it.
Right by the merchandise cart. I know it's kind of awkward that I point that out, but it's pretty cool to see because of how much we talked about the coach. Serious part's over. All right, so we're back. How we doing? Good? Who's exhausted? Yeah, I'm gonna pass out when I go home. All right, so did we have fun today?
Yes.
Did we learn something?
Yes.
Yes, good. Awesome. Are there any burning questions you have about quite literally anything? Disney, cast members, the tour, other tours, about me, and anything you possibly want. Now's your chance.
What is the worst guest you've ever had?
That is an excellent question. Kevin, yes. Well done, well done. Yeah, I can say that, Kevin. No, it's actually, I will say, it's really fun to have guests that interact with you, because if not, you're just kind of talking to a bunch of blank stares, and it fuels. Yeah, right. It's awkward, and it fuels you as a facilitator. So it's actually really great to have people like Kevin and all of you guys to really bounce things off of and really take an interest in what we're talking about. I will say that as a cast member, you encounter every type of personality possible, and that is sometimes incredibly challenging.
Not a problem. Both
for the guests and for you. And you grow as a cast member when you learn how to deal with a myriad of situations and a myriad of different personalities. And it only makes you a stronger cast member. And I mean, I've only been here for just about 3 years, so it's not even a candle to some of the cast members that have been here for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. And you just learn to deal with every possible situation with grace. Because you have to, right? And when you are approached with certain difficult situations, you not only grow as a cast member, but you grow as a person. In order to be a cast member anywhere in the world, you have to be a people person. You have to be able to talk. You have to be able to this is for lack of better terms, but talk your way around things. You have to be able to deal with people in some of the best and worst ways possible. And that's kind of the best training that you can get, because if you're not a people person, you are really not meant to be a cast member, because it's just the nature of the job. Good question, though. Anything else?
What time is the 3 o'clock parade?
Today?
Well, today it was 3:45. And that's actually a funny question, because we get that all the time. What time is the 3 o'clock parade? And it's actually a very valid question. People poke fun at it, but what time is the 3 o'clock parade? Well, from where you are in the park, it'll get to you at 3:15. Right. It'll get to you at 3:25. So it's actually a pretty good question.
You just have to anticipate what.
Right, you just have to anticipate it. Sometimes I like to joke with guests and I'll say 5. Anything else?
Do you prefer Disney World or Disneyland, even though you work here?
Okay, so the question was, do I prefer Disney World or Disneyland, even though I work here? I would have to say, speaking specifically to my personality, I would say Disneyland. Because it was the original, and there's so much Walt-centric history that is there, that for me, that's really important to me. So to me, it's really important that I visit Disneyland and I experience it. There's a lot of Walt history here too, but Disneyland had such an intense focus around Walt, and he had his hand in every aspect of that park. So for me, historically speaking, Disneyland is a lot cooler for me, but I love both, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't. No, we don't know the title of Star Wars Episode 8 yet. That's a gas station. On your right. Ooh, Anything else? No?
What's your favorite ride?
My favorite ride? My favorite attraction is got to be Mickey's PhilharMagic. in Magic Kingdom and Fantasyland, right behind the castle. That because that was, again, that was Walt's original idea for what he wanted Fantasia to be. Fantasia came out in 1940. He also thought he was so far ahead of his time. He wanted his Imagineers to walk around with buckets of water and sprinkle people with water during the broomstick section of the movie, to give you that idea that you're in the movie. You're not just watching it, you're in it. And he wanted people to walk around with scents and spray them in the theater so that people could smell what they're seeing. That like three-dimensional experience. So that's why I really like that ride, that attraction. My favorite ride, I would say Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. I really like that ride. All right, I think I have time for one more question. Good question. The question was, why did they allow that building to be, or that hotel, the Swan and Dolphin, to be so large and like so? It almost seems out of place, right? It's like, why is that there? That is what we call an operating participant. It is not officially run by Disney, but it is on Disney property. It's, if you walk in there, the cast, the employees there are not wearing the name tag, the Disney name tag. They're a different private company, but Disney has a heavy hand in how it's run. It's a good question. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this tour. There's so much to see and do here that you can't even begin to tackle it all in a 7.5-hour tour. But we really did get the highlights of everything, of all the parks, both backstage and on stage. What I will say is something that we talked about in the Magic Kingdom, is that everything that we saw today, all the floats and the different attraction vehicles and all the different people that we met and the things we talked about, costumes, everything, it all comes back to one man, Walt Disney. And he had such a heavy interaction with his cast members, and then that later translated into his guests. Disneyland was built in 366 days, 1 year and 1 day, true to Walt's promise. Disneyland opened July 17th, 1955. They broke ground on July 16th, 1954. The day was less than perfect, but they got through it, and they persevered as cast members. Walt had such a heavy involvement in the construction of Disneyland that he had a firehouse apartment built, similar to what Bill was talking about. And he wanted to quite literally oversee every step of his park, his dream becoming a reality. So much so that there's a bed there, a living room, a dining room, where he could bring himself, his family, and some of his friends up there. And every night that Disneyland was being constructed, Walt would sleep in that apartment. And there was a symbol that we knew that Walt was in the apartment. A lantern was lit in the window. And whenever we saw that lantern lit, the cast members, specifically guest relations cast members, because they were the ones who helped to furnish the apartment, bring warm towels, bring water, furnish it for when he had guests. They knew, Walt is here, be on your best behavior. Because you don't disappoint Walt Disney. That's just something that you don't do. And every time that light was on, we knew that he was here. So to act, even if he wasn't watching, as if Walt was right behind us watching us. So it came that on December 15th, 1966, after complications of lung cancer, Walter Elias Disney passed away. He passed away just outside of Burbank at Providence St. Joseph Hospital. Spread like wildfire of his death. The news spread to his family and to the cast members that were working in Disneyland. And the question was, what do we do? Do we close Disneyland for the day? Do we wear black armbands to represent that we're in mourning? Do we put the American flag at half staff? What do we do? This creator of this magical place, this ultimate dreamer, left this world behind, left the whole world, his whole dream behind for us to sustain for him. So it came down to Lillian Disney. Lillian and his brother Roy, who said Walt is the consummate showman, and Walt would always want the show to go on, and today is no different. So no flags were flown at half staff, no armbands were worn, nothing was told to guests that entered the park. Guests didn't even know that Walt had passed away until after they had gone home from that day in Disneyland. And that was probably what Walt wanted. He wanted the show to go on, for guests to have that perfect experience outside of reality. That day, early before the park hours opened, cast members went into Walt's apartment and lit that lantern. That lantern has not gone out to this day. That lantern is still on. And when you walk into Disneyland and you see that light on, we as cast members consider Walt to still be there. Although physically he is not still with us, his spirit is still there. Walt is still in the parks, and he lives in each of us. And now you, as honorary cast members, from what you've learned and seen throughout the day, you are those honorary cast members. You are that light. You are that light that to spread the Disney magic. So, on behalf of Adventures by Disney and the Walt Disney Company, Alvin and myself, thank you so much for joining us today on the Backstage Magic Tour. And we need to go forth, make magic, and make Walt proud as if he was still there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.